Trice, real name, no gimmicks.
Hi guys, welcome back to No Gimmick. This week's episode, we're going to be talking about unsolved murder cases, again, part 2. And yeah.
Okay.
Delaney might be the next unsolved murder.
Okay, guys. We have a special guest sitting in today, Delaney. So if you hear any unnecessary it's her. Anyways, Rachel's just going to start us off with our first case.
Okay, guys. So the first case that we are talking about today is the alphabet murders. In the early 1970s, once again, before I start, all of this information is coming from allthat'sinteresting.com. Same website we used last week, has amazing information, very reliable. Just thank you to this website for providing us with this information. Anyways, okay, in the early 1970s, the alphabet murderer stalked Rochester, New York, killing girls by the same first and last initial, and these horrific crimes remain unsolved to this day. On the afternoon of November 16th, 1971, a young girl ran down the side of a highway in upstate New York. The child waved her arms as she fled a car backing toward her in the shoulder. She was wearing nothing from the waist down. Around 100 drivers passed the scene. No one stopped.
Wait, pause. She wasn't wearing pants?
She had nothing on below her waist.
And no one stopped, just a random little girl running down the street half naked.
Yeah.
It was a little girl.
It was a little girl.
Oh,
and
okay.
she had just got out of a car.
Okay.
Anyways. So days later, police found the dead body of a 10-year-old girl in a nearby ditch. The shocking crime was only the first of the still unsolved alphabet murders. Each victim was a girl aged 10 or 11. Each girl's first name began with the same letter as her last, and each girl's body was found in or near a town whose name began with the same letter as the girl's name. So the first one her name was Carmen Colon. So on the afternoon of her disappearance, her mom sent her to the local drugstore to pick up a prescription. After speaking with the pharmacist, she stepped outside to wait for the prescription. She was only a block and a half from her house, but she never returned to the drugstore or to her house. So she literally just stepped outside and then disappeared. So the family called the police, who swept the neighborhood. 2 days later, a pair of teenagers spotted a body near the Rochester suburb of Chile. Okay, so within months, the police ran into a dead end. Billboards were promising $6,000 if you had any information about it. Still unsolved. The second one her name was Wanda Walkowicz. So for over a year, they looked for Carmen's killer, but then the murder of a second girl indicated a possible motive. She was 11 years old when her mother sent her to the local supermarket to pick up groceries for dinner on April 2nd, 1973. After buying $8.52 of groceries, she vanished. Her sister Rita told someone, "Back then we knew nothing about what can happen if you walk to the store." So a day later, they found her body at the bottom of a highway embankment in Webster. So the two crimes looked very similar. They had both vanished in the afternoon. Both had been strangled and raped. As fear swept through the community, police searched for suspects. Reports poured in, including a sighting of Walkowicz getting into a brown vehicle shortly after leaving the supermarket. And then the third victim, November 26, 1973, about 6 months after Wanda died, another Rochester girl went missing. 11-year-old Michelle Mainza disappeared as she walked home from a shopping center. 2 days later, the police found her body in, I don't know what that time
How
is.
far were all these times apart? Were they all near the same?
Well, that one just said 6 months.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. So a woman reported that she had spotted a young girl resembling Mainza outside a fast food restaurant, and Mainza's autopsy showed that she ate a hamburger before her death. A man recalled seeing a car stopped on the side of the road with a flat tire. When he stopped to speak to the driver, he saw a girl resembling Mainza sitting in the car. The man driving made it clear he didn't want or need any help. The witnesses described the suspect, and police put together a sketch. The man, so they believe that the man who killed Wanda was also responsible for killing Carmen and the girl. Main stuff. So let's see. The police just like recognized that like all three victims had like the same initials, and that's why they're called the alphabet murders. And the bodies were all found in towns with the victims' initials. Was it a coincidence? Okay, let's see. So police investigated a ton of people, including Carmen Colin's uncle. They turned up multiple serial rapists and murderers in the Rochester area during the process of trying to find like who murdered them. Firefighter Dennis Termini committed over a dozen rapes in his garage, and when police cornered him, he shot himself in the head. Joseph Naso spent time in Rochester before a court sent him to death row for killing 6 women, including 4 with double initials, but no evidence connects him to the Rochester alphabet murders. Yet, DNA recovered from Walkowicz's murder ruled out those potential suspects unless her murder was committed by a different killer from the others. Serial killer Kenneth Bianchi grew up in Rochester before moving to California, where he became known as the Hillside Strangler. While he remains a suspect, he has repeatedly denied committing the alphabet murders. True crime writer Michael Benson, he grew up in Rochester. He thinks that the alphabet killings were committed by multiple people and not just the same. He does think that Wanda and Michelle were killed by the same people or the same person, but Carmen was different. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So this was the suspect, the guy that like the person saw in the car with the girl. Oh, why did my computer do that?
He's kind of cute.
No
Like,
way.
What is wrong with you?
That's crazy.
No.
Look deep under. Look at him again.
I'm looking deep. I'm looking deep.
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry. That's gross.
Okay,
It's
it's a drawing. I mean, come on. It's not like it's like that detailed.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
So in 2022, a TikToker posted that her grandfather might have been behind the alphabet murders. She said that he had a brown car like the one the killer was suspected to have. He owned a grocery store where cats prowled the basement for rats, and white cat hair was found on the clothes of all 3 victims. That's weird. Her grandfather also spoke with Wanda on the day of her disappearance and offered a reward when she went missing. But with such vague clues, if not hundreds of Rochester area men fit the profile. That's literally it. So they had a few people who they thought, the firefighter, but he had committed over a dozen rapes, and then when the police cornered him, he shot himself in the head.
Firefighter?
Yeah. And then Joseph Naso, he was on death row for killing 6 women, including 4 with double initials. Or the one TikToker's grandpa.
Wait, so they just find girls that have the same.
Yeah.
Never name your kid the same letter as your last name.
So
How scared you'd be as like a
It's
parent.
like Abby,
you know?
Abigail, or like Abby, like say a girl named Abby,
I'd change my kid's name.
and then it has like an A. I'm confused.
like
So like Wilma Wallace or something like, I don't know.
Willow Wallace.
Wilma Wallace, I don't know.
So they.
Just
like
the name.
Madison Matson.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Just this last
So
name.
isn't it crazy how like TikTok is like pretty new. So like social media can like spread that like news so quickly.
Yeah.
Like that's like so random that you would make like a TikTok about that.
I kind of think that it might be that real.
Yeah.
I don't know though, but
The fact that her grandpa had like a
The
brown
cats.
car, and then the cats with like, and how like cat hair was found on.
either that or that's just like a really like coincidence.
Yeah.
I guess.
It's just so hard. I don't know, because the one guy killed himself when the police cornered him because he
Yeah.
probably knew he was like gonna get in trouble.
Well,
Yeah,
he
was
also
already
did other
guilty
things
of other
though,
stuff.
Yeah.
so it's not necessarily like he was guilty of that one only.
I don't know. Oh,
It's hard.
it is hard.
It's a good thing we're not
Or it could be some
detectives.
random
We'd be
person.
like, I'm not sure.
It could still
I
be
would
some
be
random
the world's
person too.
worst
That's
detective. Like, what do you think? Whatever you want. That's all right.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'm just gonna guess it. The first one you tell me, yep. So
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'd love to be a detective. That'd be so fun.
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 Okay, not fun,
You're
but
gonna
like,
speak up. There's no way it's picking up here.
Yeah, you gotta talk
it's
louder.
fine, I'm just a spectator anyway. Not much, do I?
You're my ankle.
Oh, okay. Next one we're gonna talk about.
you can't be doing that. It's gonna hear it.
Yeah, you can't shake the table.
Can't
Delaney,
shake the table.
jeez.
Put that foot down. Delaney, do I need to come attack you again? Okay.
Okay, guys. The next one we're gonna talk about is the Ketty Cabin murders. Okay, you ready? Between April 11th and April 12th of 1981, Glenna, Sharp, and 3 others were brutally killed in the resort town of Ketty, California. To this day, they still remain unsolved. So on the morning of April 12th, Shyla Sharp returned to her home at Cabin 28 in the Ketty Resorts in California from the next door neighbor's house. What the 14-year-old girl discovered inside the modest 4-room cabin instantly became one of the most gruesome scenes in modern American crime history, which is why it's called the Ketty Cabin murders.
So they were in a cabin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so inside Cabin 28 were the bodies of her mother, Glenna Sharp, her teenage brother John, and his high school friend Dana. The 3 had been bound by medical and electrical tape and had either been viciously stabbed, strangled, or bludgeoned. I don't know.
And then
Imagine
smacked with
being
like
them.
Smacked with a mallet is
Yeah.
crazy. Holy cow.
Like,
Oh.
What
yeah.
a way to die.
Okay,
Oh my
so
God.
then
that's like
The-
workforce trauma.
the
my goodness.
12-year-old sister, Tina Sharp, was nowhere to be found. Okay, so stranger still, in an adjoining bedroom, the 2 youngest Sharp boys, Ricky and Greg, as well as their friend and neighbor, 12-year-old Justin Smart, were found unharmed. They had apparently slept through the entire massacre, which had unfolded mere feet from their beds. That doesn't make any sense. How can you sleep through like
People screaming.
what was
bloody
it, 3
murder.
people? Like
Yeah.
what?
Wait, they were in like the same
Like the same
room?
not they were in the same cabin, but they were like feet away from like
Why did that guy only go for
I
some of
don't
them?
know.
It's kind of like, what was it, like New Murder in
Oh, Idaho.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Or
Like all the
That
like,
was so sad.
that one was sad.
And like the blood outside the house. Oh, the other 2
That
didn't
one
hear it.
still is just.
I don't know why they suspected it was the other 2 roommates or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's a big whatever.
I feel bad for the
Okay.
other 2 roommates.
That's
They
like
have to,
terrifying.
live with everyone,
PTSD.
trying to
and like
blame them and
Yeah,
still trying to.
and probably like survivor's guilt too.
Yeah. Anyways,
Okay, anyways. So the Sharp family had just moved into Cabin 28 the year before. Sue had just divorced her husband and brought her children from Connecticut to Ketty in Northern California. So the 6 of them, 36-year-old Sue, 15-year-old John, 14-year-old Sheila, 12-year-old Tina, 10-year-old Rick, 5-year-old Greg. Yeah. They were friendly with their nearby neighbors at the Ketty Resort. The night before the murders, Sheila had slept over at a friend's house down the street. John and his 17-year-old friend Dana had hitchhiked to a nearby town of Quincy for a party and returned sometime later that evening. Tina had briefly joined her sister at the neighbors before returning home to her mother, 2 younger brothers, and one of the neighbor boys, Justin Smart. When she returned home early the next morning to find her mother, brother, and his friend bloodied on the living room floor, she bolted to her neighbor's house. Her friend's dad retrieved the 3 unharmed boys through their bedroom window so they would not have to see the scene. The murders had been notably violent. Investigators were called about an hour after Sheila had discovered her slain family. So Deputy Hank Clement was the first to arrive on the scene. He reported blood everywhere, on the walls, the bottoms of the victim's shoes, Sue's bare feet, the bedding in Tina's room, the furniture, the ceiling, the doors, and on the back steps. So the way that the blood was suggested that the victims had been moved and rearranged from the positions in which they were murdered. So young John was closest to the front door, face up. This is kind of like very in detail,
Ooh.
but
Keep it
just
going.
warning. So his hands, blood covered and bound with medical tape. His throat had been slit. His friend Dana was on the floor beside him on his stomach. His head was badly damaged as though bashed in with a blunt object and lay partially on a pillow. He had been manually strangled. His ankles were tied with electrical wire, which was also around John's ankles so that the two were connected. Sheila's mother had been covered partially with a blanket that had done little to hide her gruesome injuries. On her side, the mother, she was naked from the waist down, tightly gagged with a bandana, and her own underwear secured with medical tape. She had injuries consistent with the struggle and had an imprint of the butt of a pellet gun on the side of her head.
Why?
Like-
Okay, so the guy was strangled, slit in the throat, and his head was bashed in. That's just one of those would have been plenty to kill them.
Yeah.
You're
And
just
the wire.
real crazy out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, the mom's throat had been slit, and then they
Probably
had
raped.
all of them. Yes.
Sorry.
All of them had suffered trauma by hammer or hammers. They also sustained multiple stab wounds. A bent steak knife was on the floor. A butcher knife and claw hammer, both also bloodied, were side by side on a small wooden table near the entry into the kitchen. It would take police hours to realize that a fourth victim, Tina, was missing. So when it was discovered that Tina was missing, the FBI arrived on scene. The sheriff, Okay, so first, the home did not indicate forced entry, though detectives did uncover an unidentified fingerprint from a handrail on the back stairs. The cabin's telephone had been left off the hook and all the lights had been shut off as well as the drapes closed. More confounding is the three youngest boys are not only untouched but allegedly unaware of the event, even though a woman and her boyfriend in the cabin next door awoke around 1:30 a.m. to what they described were muffled screams. Unable to discern from where they were coming, they went back to bed. However, the three boys initially claimed to have slept through the massacre. Ricky and Greg's friend Justin did later say that he saw Sue with two men in the house that night. One reportedly had a mustache and long hair, and the other was a clean-shaven with short hair but both in glasses. One of the men had a hammer. Justin reported that John and Dana entered the home and argued with the men, which resulted in a violent fight. She was allegedly taken out the cabin's back door by one of the men. Allegedly, a lot of potential evidence was collected at the scene, but because this was pre-DNA testing, very little helpful information was found. Okay. Let's see. Immediately, the two lead suspects were Justin Smart's father and the Sharp's neighbors, Martin Smart, and his house guest, ex-convict John Boudabé. I don't know how to say that. Who is known to have connections to organized crime in the area. Both men had been seen in suits and ties, behaving oddly in the bar the night before. Martin Smart later told the police that he had a hammer that matched the one discovered, and also that his hammer had gone missing shortly before the murders. Later that year, a knife was recovered in a trash can outside the Ketty General Store. Authorities think it was related to the crime. It would take another 3 years after the murders that Tina was found. A man discovered a human skull in the adjoining how do you say that? Buddy County?
Booty.
Butte.
Butang.
B-U-T-T-E.
Yeah.
It's Butte.
Butte County,
Of course.
about 30 miles from Ketty. Near the remains, detectives also found a child's blanket, a blue nylon jacket, a pair of jeans with a missing back pocket, and an empty surgical tape dispenser. With that, the remains of Tina Sharp had been found, which made the crimes committed a quadruple homicide. Okay, let's see. In 2004, the cabin was completely torn down. Okay, so evidence that was ignored and overlooked. So the tape of the anonymous tip regarding Tina was found sealed in case files, untouched by the sheriff's department until 2013 when the case was reopened with new investigators. Sheriff Greg Hagwood, and Special Investigator Mike Gamberg. In 2016, Gamberg located a hammer believed to be one of the murder weapons in a dried-up pond in Keddy. Further, it came to light that Marilyn Smart, Marty's wife and mother of Justin, had left her husband on the day of the murder discovery. Afterwards, she provided Plymouth County Sheriff's Department with a handwritten letter sent to her and signed by her estranged husband. It read, "I've paid the price of your love, and now that I've bought it with 4 people's lives, you tell me we are through. Great, what else do you want?" Okay, so that's good info right there. That like, she's bought his love with 4 people's lives. Like, that's literally, that basically just proved that she had to have done it, or she was involved. The letter was not treated as a confession, but Marilyn thought that her husband's friend Bo was responsible. Okay, let's see. In 2016, Gamberg met with a counselor at the Reno Veterans Administration. The anonymous counselor told him that in May 1981, Martin Smart had confessed to killing Sue and Tina Sharp. And in quotes, it says, "I killed the woman and her daughter, but I didn't have anything to do with the boys." So that's also, like, evidence.
Wait, so she admitted to killing them?
She made
Basically-
kill half of them.
And did they take her to jail? Or
The mom?
The wife of the one guy's friend who was friends with them before they were murdered, or before her and her husband got divorced. It was believed that Martin and Sue were having an affair, and Sue was supposedly counseling Marilyn to leave her husband, who she had said was abusive to her. When Martin discovered this, he enlisted Bo, his friend, and known mob enforcer who had lived with the Smarts a mere 10 days before the Keddy murders, to take Sue out of the picture. This would account for Marilyn leaving her husband the day of the murder discovery. It would also explain why the Smart boy and other Sharp boys in the adjoining room were spared. Additionally, it gives context to Martin's handwritten note that Marilyn gave to the Plymouth Sheriff's Department. Some investigators who picked up the case when it reopened in 2013 tie the slayings into an even larger plot. To Gamberg, it is clear that the DOJ and Thomas Run Sheriff's Department covered it up as the way it sounds. Okay, so Martin Smart and Bo Badebe are now deceased. New DNA evidence has pointed investigators to other suspects who may have had a hand in these murders and who are still alive. So basically, I think that a lot of people were involved in it, but it literally had to have been the wife's, or the lady's husband's friend, because it's all confusing about how, like, they were having an affair and then she left him the day that the bodies were found. It had to have been him, but she also, like, literally said that something about 4 lives.
Well, isn't she the one that confessed that she killed 2 of them, but not the other 2?
Yes.
Which is, I feel like there's another person involved then, because like at that
there
point,
has to be.
at that point, if you're confessing, might as well confess for all of them. But like,
So she confessed. Did
Yeah.
she get in trouble?
Obviously.
She had to have. If she didn't, that's crazy. Oh, I remember. Isn't there like a TV show about the Keddy Cabin murders or something?
maybe.
Never heard of it.
I don't know. I think me and Grace were talking about it one time.
It's kind of also weird that it was like, you don't hear about girl murders very much, you know?
No, it's
Yeah.
always like guys.
I'm still confused how like the 3 boys or whatever, like the ones that were asleep, didn't hear it at all. Like
But the people across,
Yeah, that's what I'm
across the
confused
street or
about.
whatever. Yeah,
they had to have been
Maybe,
like,
or they
I mean, they were-
were just scared and they didn't want to.
true.
but like
I wonder if they like put some like drug in the air or something
they
to like,
had to
knock
have,
them
like,
out more.
Yeah, they had to have done that because there's no way, unless you're just really deep sleepers. Like
3 of them that are really deep sleepers. I feel like that's just
that
weird.
doesn't make sense.
I don't know.
Too scared to go back to. Yeah, I bet they were
too scared.
They're probably too scared. And just,
But wouldn't they have like said something like,
confessed
"Oh
to the
yeah,
police,
I
though.
woke up at this point and we heard screams, but we were scared." Like they would have said that, but they
Yeah,
didn't. Like they
true.
don't remember anything.
Yeah.
Maybe they were like too guilty to admit that they heard something. They
Yeah,
didn't
true.
do
The
anything.
3 of them though.
they feel like they would get in trouble because they're little. They wouldn't really
All right. Any more comments?
Nope.
Okay,
No.
guys. So, thank you for tuning in to our podcast this week. We hope you enjoyed the last couple episodes of Unsolved Murders. We can maybe do that another time. We don't know what we're doing next week, but we'll figure it out. And we hope you guys have a great day, and tune in next week to No Gimmick. Bye.
Bye.
Adios.
Bye.